Welcome back to another video from Grounded, home of mindfulness, meditation, self-exploration. Currently still whopping out this quarantine hairdo. Still waiting for the barbers to open. Hopefully it won't take too much longer. As you can see, got some grey hair coming through. Lovely. And I have a hairband in, which as you can see, I have no idea how to do that shit. But anyway, a video on trust. And developing that trust with yourself. Developing trust in truth. Developing trust in realization. Allowing realization and truth to be the basis in which your life expands. Now, when we are holding on to personal identity relating to the past, our life becomes a repetitive cycle. Now, as you begin self-realization, as you begin lifting the lid on awakening, as you begin the ascension into accessing greater self-knowledge, as you move through the process of detaching from the past, which is your personal sense of self, and integrating or becoming more one, more united with consciousness itself, which is represented as the nothingness, the stillness within. As you become more familiar with being still, not even necessarily become more familiar, but to let go more and more and more of that self, because it is consciousness that holds on to personal identity, and then when it's self-realized, it begins to let go of this personal identity because it's recognizing its own nature. So there becomes a point when, for me, as I went through this transitional period of letting go of the self, letting go of my conditioning, my beliefs, my ideas, my structures, and really moving through my emotion, you get to a point where you begin to trust more. You begin to let go more and let go more, and you let more and more and more of yourself go. And you begin to trust more and more and more in that state of consciousness, in that state of awareness, where all that remains is just your presence. Now, for most of us, for human beings, we're constantly thinking about what we're going to do, planning, predicting, trying to manipulate, trying to create what we want to have in our lives, and we literally control every situation because we believe that by controlling situations that our life's going to pan out in a particular way. Well, most of what we plan for is to avoid the pain within inside of ourselves. So if we literally hold on to the idea of having a relationship, it's because we don't want to be alone. If we hold on to the idea that I need to be successful, it's because I don't want to feel unsuccessful and what unsuccessful means. And if we hold on to the idea of being really rich, it's because we come from a place of lack. And so, when we're in our personal sense of self, what we're actually obtaining through what we think is our desires and our wants and our needs is actually an avoidance to trying to fix the pain from which them desires arise from. Now, you can only desire abundance if you're coming from lack. You can only really, truly desire a relationship if you're coming from the place of not wanting to be alone. So in our personal sense of self, we're sort of projecting away from what we don't want to face. But as we move through awakening, as we move through consciousness, and this trust begins to open up, and you're trusting in the unknown, you're trusting in life, you're trusting in the universe, you're trusting in an intelligence that you can't understand mentally. And so as you begin to let go and as you begin to trust, you actually begin to let go of your reality. Now the beautiful thing is as you begin to trust in the universe begins to respond. After a while, trust is almost a little bit like faith, but then trust and faith, they begin to disappear because you're constantly acknowledging life within, and that constant acknowledging of life within, that constant being more and more of that pure awareness, of that consciousness, the more you give yourself to that, the less identified you become with reality, and the less identified you become with reality, the quicker and the greater reality shifts. So after a while of trusting and letting go of yourself and letting go of your need to hold and your need to control, and you start to trust more in life, trust more in that intelligence that wants to let go more and more and more and more, because it knows on a much deeper level of the direction of where it's going. Now consciousness is an infinite nature. So once you realize that infinite nature within yourself, not only do you begin to expand in that internal nature, which means expanding in that internal nature, you're becoming more and more and more conscious, which means less thoughts are present, less emotions present, and more conscious awareness is present. And it's that trust in that which becomes faith. And the more trust and the more faith you have in it, the more peaceful you become, the more united you become with it, and the more it begins to bear fruit in reality. Now, I hear people saying, yeah, but if I don't do nothing, then who's going to do it? What's going to happen to me? So we have all of these worries and all of these uncertainties and all of this confusion. But as we trust and let go, life will verify in existence that change. And life and consciousness is love. So you're becoming more of life. You're becoming more of love. And that harmony flows into existence. And as that begins to flow into existence, as you begin to become one, existence, or the world and yourself, they become one when we're in sort of mind identification and personal self-identification. We believe the world is we are in the world and the world is happening to us. But the more self-aware we become, we realize that the world is within us. And so that external quality of love and connectedness is then mirrored back to what you are. But there is a process, a trusting process that we all have to go through. Those that endeavor to awaken, those that endeavor to truly realize consciousness, to truly realize a life and love, have to go through this process. And this process is trust. And it's that trust and faith that allows you to let go more and more. Because you know, in that knowledge of truth, is love. And love is always pulling everything into a state of union. So when love awakens within, when you become love, everything works in your favour to unify your life and existence as a one unified field. Till next one, much love.